Good evening. This is Maestro Cortello with a Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite modcast. Today, we have a 3v3 on Argent Shelf Redux. Our first player is Vapor, playing as the Inquisitor. This is an Imperial Guard disabling and debuffing commander. She can also become a melee tank if you would like her to do that. His first teammate is Tinibombini, playing as the Plague Champion. This is a Death Guard Plague Champion, one of the not so recent anymore Elite schemes, but it is exclusive to the Elite mod, not in retail. This is a ranged hero to start out. He can switch to melee weapons. He's got some repairing ability as well as healing, and he can also build a turret. Next up, we've got Batman. Batman returns yet again. And Batman is playing as the Grey Knight Bro Captain. Big tanky melee hero in Terminator armor. He cannot be knocked down. He cannot be suppressed. He can become even tankier with some war gears. On the other team, first of all, we've got Qwest, playing as the Orc Warboss. Aggressive tanky melee hero. Has abilities like charging, stomping. He's got very powerful globals as well, like Use Your Choppas and Hard Boys. Now we have a Void Weaver, a prolific. Well, actually, I don't know if I'm using that word correctly, but this is a Warp Spider Exarch player. Void Weaver pretty much only plays the Warp Spider Exarch, so he knows him pretty well. And this is a teleporting ranged hero who also has some very interesting tricks up his sleeves, or up his blades. And then finally, we have mltm86 getting knocked on his ass by a Bro Captain. This is a Techmarine. The Techmarine is a Space Marine ranged hero. He can get an axe later on. A lot of utility, a lot of different guns. Very powerful, especially in team games. Alright, so no way the Techmarine is going to win hand-to-hand against a Brother Captain, or sword-to-sword. But Brother Captain did get also focused down quite a bit by the combination of the Tactical Marines and the Dire Avengers. We have a double Dire Avenger build from Void Weaver. The nice thing about getting a double Dire Avenger build is that does give you a lot of early firepower for Eldar. Especially since Dire Avengers have pretty good damage even right out of the gate. They have roughly the same damage as a squad of Tax, and they're a bit cheaper. Of course, they are also quite a bit squishier, and that is part of the risk involved. And eventually you do want to upgrade them to have their Exarch, or rather their Aspect. But looks like the Tactical Marines are pushing forward, and I like the way we see the Tactical Marine used from MLTM. He's kind of choosing good matchups. The Tactical Marines will definitely win against the Stormtroopers. They would definitely do a lot of damage to the Heretics, although they do have to beware those Heretic grenade launchers. So Tactical Marines very smartly get behind an Eldar Energy Shield. The Eldar Energy Shield will actually give perfect cover, meaning it does reduce all incoming range damage to 0 to the squad that is behind the cover. Alright, we do have an Inquisitor. Inquisitor did managed to get the Hammer of the Witches off on the Warboss. This Sentinel is a bit out of position, needs to move way, way back. To be honest, this is not a winning engagement for Vapor. Needs to keep moving back. We even have a ranged Warboss. The Warboss has upgraded to the Enhanced Custom Shooter, and pretty much I think with the positioning of this Sentinel right now, if all of Qwest units just targeted the Sentinel, it should have taken it out. I think if he had targeted the Sentinel earlier with all of his squads, as well as the Warboss in range stance, I think he would have taken out that Sentinel. Although, I think instead he was targeting the Guardsmen, trying to bleed the models and force off the Guardsmen instead. But, I mean, with the kind of range firepower Qwest had of both Shooter Boys with knobs, as well as the Warboss with the Enhanced Custom Shooter, he should have been able to finish off that Sentinel. Interceptors getting in a huge amount of trouble. Grenades going in all over the place. I think that was a full squad wipe, and it was. So a Scout Grenade takes out an entire Stormtrooper squad, and to be honest, I'm not entirely surprised. To start out, those Stormtroopers only have 100 health per model, and a grenade is definitely very capable of killing models that have 100 health. So, not a good start for Batman. He's even replacing his Stormtroopers immediately. And I think he would want to preserve at least, well, certainly at least one Stormtrooper squad, maybe even two. Stormtroopers, they are pretty strong, Inquisitorial Stormtroopers that is, are pretty strong early on, although their late game scaling tends to be not too good. Raptors jump in to suppress the Dire Avengers. I think the Dire Avengers, yes, I was wondering if we were going to see that, and grenades do go in on the Raptors, but not a single Raptor model dies. A little unlucky there to get 2 successful grenade hits on those Raptors and not kill a single model. I mean, the Raptors are only at half of their health. And Tinibombini, well, I thought he was going to keep the Raptors in there to heal. Yeah, he's going to move them back, because if he does, he doesn't even need to retreat them back to base. Chaos Space Marines moving forward, so the Warp Spider Exarch is going to get behind cover, although the Chaos Space Marines are now just going for a decap, which might actually be a decent use of their time. They will get the decap. They would probably not do that well against the Warp Spider Exarch, just shooting at him as long as he's in cover. But the Warp Spider Exarch actually doing quite a bit of damage, and I think courtesy of his upgrades, he does have improved targeters, does increase his damage, so he was able to bleed a Chaos Space Marine models. The Raptors jump into a trap, but again, not managing to lose any models. He did retreat them pretty early, having seen that turret right there, and after they got suppressed. So we do have a turret out, as well as a relay beacon from mltm. And it is my personal opinion that the Techmarine is the best team's hero in the game because of these 2 defensive structures, and especially when they are combined. I mean, certainly the combination of them, and even sometimes the turret by itself, is often very powerful in Tier 1. To the point where it can't really be effectively countered in Tier 1. There are ways to counter it, but it usually requires a very big commitment. It's often very risky, and sometimes even requires like a double. 2 players doubling the turret. Anyway, attacks moving forward, but they're actually just standing out of cover. I mean, they'll do a ton of damage, but all of those units are out of cover. No kiting whatsoever from mltm there, so not particularly well played. Actually, he was in a yellow cover crater, so I'm a little bit wrong, but he still should have kited a little bit more. Could have kept him in that engagement a little bit longer, I think. So Qwest is moving forward, and I mean, Qwest should have the advantage here. It can be very, very tough for the Imperial Guard to deal with the massive amount of Orc range firepower early on, especially since the Imperial Guard rely on those Sentinels so much, and the combination of double, fully upgraded Shooter Boys is definitely something that limits the effectiveness of the Sentinel quite a bit. The Sentinels, as an Imperial Guard player, you really, really have to respect the damage of 2 fully upgraded squads of Shooter Boys. Anyway, we see some squad wipes already. Tinibombini not really paying well enough attention and loses his one of his squads of heretics, a grenade launcher heretic squad. He still has an aspiring champion melee squad. But this should be a full generator bash for. This will be Void Weaver. Should be able to finish off the bash right here. He's actually going to capture with the Banshees. He would be better off bashing with the Banshees and capturing with the Warp Spider Exarch. Just in terms of optimization, the Banshees would do quite a bit more damage to the generators than the Warp Spider Exarch would. And they will obviously both cap at equal rate. Anyway, so Batman is actually trying to push hard for taking out he's actually trying to push hard for taking out the turret, and we see how little he achieved. He didn't even really do damage to the turret. Now it's shooting him on retreat. In fact, that turret actually, I think, managed to take out, yeah, it took out an Interceptor model on retreat, and that's expensive. Anyway, we have the Bane Wolf, and oh my god, so many things happen right here. Vapor obviously lost a squad or 2. And he did call down a Bane Wolf, which is a good choice. That pretty much, this unit alone, pretty much ends the dominance that Qwest had over Vapor. Temporarily, of course, until Qwest gets to Tier 2 and starts basically providing some kind of answer for that. And he's also going to finish off this power farm. Now, it would be a really good play for this Bane Wolf to move over right here, right now, take out both the relay beacon and the turret, while the time is right. Because this is still in the very early Tier 2 phase, while we have a second turret. So the Bane Wolf will definitely come to finish off this turret. I mean, the Bane Wolf is such a good anti-structure weapon. Very powerful against those defensive structures that basically, that's just one of the best things that it can do right now. Now, it would be a little bit of a risk to come over here, especially to try to come for a flank, since he doesn't entirely know what kind of AV the red team might have. But, I mean, the thing is, the longer he waits, the more that opportunity fades. He actually did have a window of opportunity. To be honest, he still has a window of opportunity. And that window of opportunity is going to get much, much shorter once these tank busters come out onto the field. I mean, I guess at least for now, the blue team does have the double cap. They do have the contested VP, and ultimately that's what really matters. It would be nice to take out the teleporter relay beacon and the tarantula turret, and that Bane Wolf is something that could have seen it happen. Anyway, we've got both teams about to engage. I don't think this engagement is going to favor Void Weaver. Anyway, I missed that apparently Void Weaver lost both his Banshees and his Guardian weapon team. I don't know what's going on there, but he does have a squad of Dark Reapers. Where are they? They are kind of standing a little too far back. These Dark Reapers really need to get in here, get in that engagement. They need to start shooting these interceptors, since the Dark Reapers are really pretty much the single best tool that Void Weaver is going to have right now against all the power armor that Batman is putting out on the field, as well as any power armor should he end up facing Tinibombini, his power armor as well. Excuse me. Anyway, Blood Crusher moves forward. It's actually taking damage from plasma. I mean, all the damage we see it taking right now is actually from plasma. So that's actually a bit of a testament to how effective plasma can actually be against vehicle armor. I mean, it's obviously light AV, but I mean, that was all plasma damage. There was no hard, and there was not even attack missile launcher. That was plasma. Oh, wait, actually we do see the Techmarine now does have the melt-a-gun. I don't know if maybe he took a melt-a-shot, but I didn't see it. Anyway, this Bane Wolf is actually still dominating, and it looks like Vapor either gave up the Sentinel or just straight up lost it. But I mean, they're doing very strong in this particular lane. They're evening out the VPs. It's almost evened out. Red team still has a slight lead in VPs, and we have a double tank buster build from Qwest. Anyway, it actually looks like, though, MLTM is committing over here. We have a... wow, so we've got the Bloodletter jump as well as the Raptors moving in. Unfortunately, there's too much range DPS. Tinibombini might lose the squad of Bloodletters. It's down to 2 models. I think he's going to... well, no, all of the squads are targeting the Raptors. So those were some rather unwise jumps from Tinibombini. Really overextended himself and just jumped into way too much. In fact, we have... I was going to say, I thought this was a double for a second. This is actually all Qwest. And, I mean, he might just overtake Vapor just on sheer force. He does now have double tank busters. And tank busters, I mean, they have definitely historically been a much maligned unit. But I think these days they're pretty alright. And, I mean, one of the great things is their cost. They are a cheap AV unit. Their damage is fine. I'd say, let's see, the tank busters do have to worry about bleeding. They definitely are pretty vulnerable to bleeding. And they don't have a snare. However, they will be a bit less prone to bleeding because we do have a Warboss with the boss pole, and that will improve the health of any orcs that are in radius of the Warboss. Anyway, here we see this should be another double because we now have Batman moving in here with the Bro Knights, with the Grey Knights. All right. So that double, even, this is almost even a triple because the Blood Crusher is here as well. But I think right now the blue team is hard committing to getting the contested back, so that gives the red team plenty of time to just amass in the middle. Tinibombini looks like he might come down the center lane. No, yeah, will he come down the center lane or through the bottom lane? He's coming through the center, and I think that's the best choice. He needs to move a little faster, though. His teammates are engaging. The Blood Crusher in particular, I think, could be in a lot of trouble. The blue team does need to get things tied up, and I think and there's a psychic field. Oh my God! Wow, that psychic field from the purifiers rather wiped a squad or two. Here's a Rox on the Grey Knights as well. Rox actually managing to mostly miss, so Rox was ultimately pretty well dodged. I think this Blood Crusher is probably going to die, being shot at by some vengeance rounds from the Sternguard veterans. But actually, wow, look at all the repair support. It's getting like triple repaired right now. The Blood Crusher needs to not just stand there, though. It needs to keep moving back. Otherwise, there will be some kind of AV to finish it off. Or not. It's just going to totally ignore what I'm saying. Stand in place. Tinibombini is saying that it's stuck. Oh my god, that's terrible. Alright, well, I don't think there's anything he can do about that. He's just going to have to let it go. Luckily, a Blood Crusher is not too expensive. And here comes the War Truck filled with Tank Busters to chase after the Bane Wolf. So the Tank Busters inside the War Truck, affectionately called the Truck Busters. Let's see, the Truck Busters coming up. Driving up. Where is the Bane Wolf, though? The Bane Wolf is relatively safe at the moment. We also have a Wraithlord out on the field for Void Weaver. Void Weaver's losing a lot of squads, though. He does put a Shuriken Cannon on his Wraithlord. That does give it a lot of anti-infantry firepower. Meanwhile, over here, we've got Interceptors jumping on top of the Warp Spider Exarch as well as the Warp Spiders. That was actually a very, very nice use of the Psych Out grenades from the Interceptors. Although, I mean, at least in theory, those Warp Spiders should have been able to teleport away before the Psych Out grenade, but since they didn't, they definitely wouldn't have been able to teleport away after it. Since that Psych Out grenade does burn the energy from those squads. And of course, Warp Spiders without energy are pretty vulnerable. It means they can't teleport out. Multiple squads getting suppressed by the Raptors. And MLTM needs to get out of there. MLTM playing right now his current way of playing is interesting to say the least. He's only got 2 tacks. One of them has been upgraded to Stern Guard. He does have scouts, and he's got a Whirlwind. He doesn't have the most diverse fighting force on the field. Anyway, here come the Truck Busters. I think the Truck Busters need to be very, very careful. We do have a War Truck with no extra armor, so it's only at 350 hit points. Oh my god, the Wraithlord appears to be in a little bit of trouble right now. It had been hit by either a Melt-A-Bomb or a Crack Grenade. Right now it seems to still be snared. It's trying to get out of there, but it's taking damage persistently. No real, like, missile or anything, or las cannon, but it's still taking damage from things. The Interceptors and the Bloodletters and the Purifiers can finish it off, and it looks like they will. So they do manage to finish off the Wraithlord. Void Weaver, again, losing lots and lots of squads. This Whirlwind is way out of position, and it should be finished. Even though, again, we don't have much in terms of true AV. There's just too many things of soft AV just surrounding it. So definitely a few misplays by the red team. Blue team, well, I was going to say they're looking strong. They're certainly looking strong in engagements and some of the units they're wiping. We even had 2 TAC models die on this TAC squad. Interceptors jump in. It might even be time for this Bane Wolf to move forward and take out this turret. There would be some risk present to it, but not too much, because there's still not really true AV. We do have a Haywire Grenade going in, so right now the weapons will be offline for a little bit, and the Bro Captain is going to just go in. He does now have the Nemesis Warding Staff fully upgraded, Mantle of Terra, and Unending Purge as well. And he does have to be very, very careful about the Dreadnought, though. Dreadnought is something that will do very, very well against the Bro Captain, since it is a single unit that will pretty much counter the Bro Captain by itself. Which is very, very valuable, since one of the challenges that tanky melee heroes present is that they often require the attention of several units. Usually like 2 or 3 ranged units to deal with a tanky melee hero, since the idea is you want to focus fire it down. So that's one of the good things about it, getting a Dreadnought. It will take care of that tanky melee hero by itself. Anyway, the Dreadnought knocks over the tank traps, manages to take down a Raptor model. It's going to push forward. No, is it? Nope, I guess not. I was going to say, what kind of hard AV do we have waiting? And we actually have a las cannon Predator from Tinibombini that will actually very, very hard counter the Dreadnought. In fact, the Dreadnought took about 300 damage from a single volley from that Chaos Predator. That doesn't sound right, so maybe because the damage for the las cannon predator should be something more like 220 per shot. So I'm gonna guess maybe the dreadnought health was a little bit lower than I thought. It probably wasn't at max health. It probably wasn't at 1200. It was probably closer to like 1120 health or something. Anyway, this is pretty brazen. Moving in with the truck busters, does a close range tank buster barrage. Here's a Manticore strike. The tank buster barrage actually manages to finish off the war truck, but wow, plasma from the guardsman, as well as a melt-a-gun from the Kadashan Devils actually finishes off the war truck. So ultimately, that actually is a win in favor of Qwest. The Bane Wolf is the more expensive unit, as well as the more valuable one overall. Well, more valuable is debatable, but it's definitely the more expensive unit. So I would still say that's a win in favor of Qwest to trade the war truck for the Bane Wolf. Anyway, Orc Daka is holding their ground, moving back. I thought I saw a Luda squad. He had a Luda at some point, I thought. Could I have been wrong? But anyway. Space Marines moving up in the middle. I feel like MLTM needs more units, more than just his tax. He's really just fighting with his tax. Tinibombini needs to be very, very careful with these Chaos Space Marines. Anyway, oh my god, this squad of tax is actually going to go down. Most likely. No, he gives up the chase. Well, it was a close call. But it would have been a big win for him if he had managed to finish off that tax squad. And Tinibombini looking pretty strong right here. I think his Heretics, though, need to go back and give the Predator some repair support. It is chasing after the Dreadnought a bit. Did not manage to get a shot off, though. I think it had shot once, but it targeted something else. And still we see the relay beacon as well as the turret still up. Now we see they're still up, still doing pretty well, and Batman loses another squad of stormtroopers. And this is another reason why actually I think it might have been a better idea for Vapor to have taken out the turret as well as the relay beacon a little bit earlier when he had that Bane Wolf. Because as much as it could have been a risk, it was still a possibility where, or just a time when I actually know for a fact that there was no AV out on the field, and even though he would not have a way of knowing that, he could still kind of guess that there might not be much AV out on the field. And then as the game goes on, the turret and the relay beacon actually get a little easier to defend again, because things like that Bane Wolf are more threatened by more sources of AV. There was just a window of opportunity when that Bane Wolf could have driven in here, just destroyed these buildings, and it would have been pretty much unopposed. Anyway, we have an Orc Battle Wagon out. It's a 2-to-1 cap in favor of the red team, and they also have a lead in real VPs of 211 to 39. But here come the Paladins. Paladins moving forward. And this is actually, alright, so Qwest is definitely getting pushed back. Paladins moving forward. Paladins do have an Inferno Cannon, I believe, and they're starting to hammer away at the Battle Wagon. And it looks like the blue team is taking advantage of this time to, as they're pushing Qwest back, they are putting a unit on the VP to cap it. Meanwhile, that does leave this area relatively undefended, and now is the time. The Predator just straight up does it. It should finish this off with another shot, and it can just move forward, finish off the relay beacon. Now is the time, and I mean, at this time, they can even, Tinibombini can even put a unit on the natural, and that would actually be really, really good for the blue team, because that's going to do a lot to speed their VP recovery. Alright, so good play by Tinibombini to take advantage of that. And meanwhile, while that's happening, I miss an orbital bombardment. Orbital bombardment takes out a dreadnought. And I mean, clearly some crazy things happened here that I missed, but at the same time, what happened here was a very, very key play. So Lehman Russ right here has the elite tank crew, does not have a Vanquisher cannon. Vanquisher cannon, I mean, generally I'm pretty sure the regular default battle cannon is better against infantry, but at the moment, I think with a battle wagon on the field to deal with, I think it really is in Vapor's best interest to upgrade to a Vanquisher cannon. The only thing I would say against that would be if he actually plans to get another Leman Russ. Since it would be very, very nice to have 2 tanks out in the field. Anyway, the blue team now really coming back into this game. They are pushing them back. Both Void Weaver and mltm are hurting. It's kind of Qwest carrying a little bit at this point in the game, and even he's having a lot of trouble because he's getting doubled, and the blue team is making good plays for the VPs. VPs actually evened out at a 1-to-1 because the red team actually managed to get a back cap on the blue team's national, and the blue team especially cannot afford back caps. They need to get back caps, and they cannot afford it happening to them. Anyway, Warboss is on the point. He does have the Evi armor, giving him an extra 900 hit points, and he's also at level 5, so his total health pool is pretty large. Cat a chance need to get out of there. Smart play to knock him off the point, delay that cap for a little bit. Blue team really needs they just need everything they can get. They can't give up too many VPs, and they need to get VPs as soon as they can. It's really crunch time. Space Marine Predator out for mltm. It has the extra health, and it takes a shot at the Chaos Predator. Chaos Predator, meanwhile, not targeting the Chaos Predator, and now Tinibombini needs to be a little careful. He's got a Predator with a better gun, but at less health. But the Space Marine Predator, meanwhile, is actually upgrading to the las cannon. And actually, though, the Space Marine Predator, only one more hit will finish it off, and it does finish it off. So well played by Tinibombini. Actually managed to really press his advantage correctly. I was a little worried there with him pushing a 700 health Predator, now 770, in against a Space Marine Predator with more health, and he could have put that Predator at risk. Anyway, four VPs left for the blue team, but they have evened it out. A bunch of models dying right here. The battle wagon still going in, but we see the Inquisitor is on the point, and she gets the decap. So well played. Blue team really climbing back into this game, clawing their way back. The Weird Boy is going to knock the Inquisitor off the point, though, so as long as this Weird Boy is here, most squads are not going to be able to capture this. Anyway, whoa, there is that Deferola charge right on top of the heavy weapon team. We see a Manticore strike going to hit the heavy weapon team more than it's going to hit the battle wagon. And oh, I didn't see it, but Vapor actually lost his Leman Russ. And he bought another Manticore. I don't really agree with the second Manticore choice. I mean, I guess the best that can be said about the second Manticore is that it gives him a lot of ability to deny caps, which unfortunately he's not doing at the moment. So blue team still with the double cap, but they can't afford to drop it. Well, they can afford it to be at a 1-to-1, but they can't afford to basically give up any more VPs. If the VPs start ticking in favor of the red team, it will end the game. But man, mltm is done. His Techmarine is down. He's only got a squad of Stern Guard veterans. They're here shooting at stuff. We've got an Avatar trying its best to defend the point, but something's being called in. A Venerable Dreadnought? So a Venerable Dreadnought from mltm. I fear it is a little late, though. It can do a lot of damage. It does stun the Paladins, but here is the support from a Land Raider Phobos as well as a Chaos Predator. Both of these things going to do major amounts of damage to the Venerable Dreadnought. So Venerable Dreadnought now actually in quite a bit of trouble. So its health is actually going down pretty fast. And the blue team looking to take this game. They've still got the double cap. They're about to kill a Venerable Dreadnought. Venerable Dreadnought about to finish off a squad of Heretics. Does in fact, but Stoicism is activated, so that's the end of the Venerable. Unfortunately, not really a great choice against both a Phobos and a level 3 las cannon Predator. Of course, I don't think he saw the Phobos. Here comes the Tank Buster Barrage. Actually, mostly misses the Land Raider Phobos, and we have a las. Oh no, this is a heavy bolter turret. For a second, I thought this was a las cannon turret, and it looks like the blue team is actually now going to take this game. Battle Wagon was finished off. While I missed the Battle Wagon getting finished off. But this is it for the blue team. So a major comeback by the blue team. Quite a game. Hope you enjoyed it.